Hey, welcome everyone to our pre-con sessions that we're doing for our upcoming GameCon 48V. And we are so delighted today to have Gal Rimon with us as our guest. And Gal and I had a conversation, we were trying to recall just years ago. I was still doing Blog Talk Radio, and Gal was one of my early guests, and we were both finding our way in gamification. And I have to say, if someone has found their way, it's certainly Gal and his company, because he took the idea that we started with way back when, and I knew he was, well, of course I know he's brilliant, and his the way he developed his company. So welcome, Gal. We are just delighted that you're taking some time today to talk with us. And I want to focus on gamification, of course, but going beyond that and what you've created with Centrical and the focus of your company. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Monica. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm really expecting to this conversation because it creates kind of milestones in this amazing journey, and I'll be happy to share.
Oh, good. So talk with me about like I'm gonna say the mammoth that Centrical is from. Don't you think that was a really rapid growth? Like, I'm thinking, people talk about Jeff Bezos. Let's put Jeff Bezos to the side. Let's talk about Gal Rimon and what he's created with Centrical. This to me is like from here to here, just in your growth and impact, not just the growth, which of course is amazing, but the impact that you've had. So talk with me about what is Centrical. Tell me what the company does.
Thank you. So Centrical vision is to guide employees to success and growth. And when I started, I have a lot of experience even before Centrical in the fields of BI, analytics, and big data. And I worked for companies like Deloitte, EDS. I was the CEO of a big data company. And I always saw big companies, the telcos, banks, putting a strategy. And almost always the hard part was execution. And the execution is by the employees. And therefore, as a BI, I call it myself BI guy originally, right? We always try to help the companies to understand where are the problems in the execution. And Centrical actually tried to solve the problem, to actually flip the pyramid. Instead of focusing on the managers, on the strategy, to focus on the employees and the execution, and to put the employee at the center and not kind of the one that, we need to chase after. So this is the promise.
Yeah,
flipping
good.
The pyramid.
Yeah, good. Very good. So when you think about, and I know that you focus on empowering the frontline employees by making, things actionable for them. So how is that communicated? Because I've always in my mind thought, well, we have to have leadership directly involved and leading this for it to work. But if we start with the employees, how are you figuring out who they are to begin with, and what would be tapping into to get them, we think about motivation, the willingness to put forth the effort to actually do something. So how are you tapping into that motivation?
Yeah. So first, it's challenging because we work today with hundreds of thousands of users, like employees, in more than 150 countries. I even didn't know that there are 150 countries.
Wow.
Right? And there are different languages and different cultures. By the way, when you talk, I know that Brit was a few days ago from Microsoft, right?
Right.
Only it's at Microsoft, Centrical work with, I think, more than 16 languages. Wow. And therefore different cultures. And there is the Microsoft culture, right? So the first question is like, who is the frontline employee, right? And the main thing that I think describe the frontline employee or the challenges are they usually come to the organization for a short period of time. Sometimes it could be 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. So the organization need to ramp them very quickly and to keep them longer, right? Second thing, they need to learn all the time, new products, new processes, new tips and tricks, and therefore they need to be with the learning culture. Third, they need to be aligned. They need to understand if there is a new product, to focus on the new product. If you would like to, we work a lot in contact centers, right? So there are two very strong KPIs, key performance indicators: average handle time, the efficiency, and customer satisfaction, or NPS, which is, the quality and the result of the conversation, right? And they're in conflict. If you will manage a conversation too long, right, you won't be able to work with, to meet your quota, right? On the other hand, if you do it too short, you will not resolve the cases, or you not do the sales. So what we try to do at Centrical, right, to bring the brain of the executives, right, to encapsulate it using AI to guide the employees first to get clarity on what's the definition of success. Second, kind of a fitness tracker for work, like what are your goals today, where you are at, what are the gaps, where should you focus. Then to incorporate gamification to motivate you to do the extra mile, and then to learn how to perform better. And I'll keep for the rest of the conversation also things like the place of the manager, the frontline manager, how to turn them into a coaching position over chasing after the employees, right? Mm-hmm. And last but not least, to listen also to the voice of the employee, because they know things that we as management don't know.
Right. Yeah. And like, I remember when I was working on my master's and we were studying Walmart at the time, and I just was, my favorite quote, I think it's my favorite quote of all business, is that Sam Walton said, I always get my best ideas from my stock. At the time it was stock boys, because that was, the generation he was in. And I just thought, that's just magical, because that's the reality. He would go in the stores and talk to the people who are talking to the customers, because they know things that leadership just is disconnected from, not because they're not paying attention, but they're just disconnected from it. All right.
And sorry to interrupt you, but just a segue. Richard Branson said, take care of your employees, they will take care of your customers. Exactly. And I think this is brilliant, right? Happy and engaged employee that knows what to do and how to do it, right, will be performing better. And therefore it's a win-win. There is kind of a duality in Centrical messaging, because are we talking to the employee or to the buyer, right? We need to sell software, right? You have to eventually. Yeah. So we talk to the managers, right? But we talk from the perspective of the employee. I hit my goals. I'm growing. I receive recommendations and recognition and so on.
It's so huge, Gallant. I love that you flipped it, because we talk about employee engagement, and that employees, we've got all these phrases, the quiet quitting, the great mass exodus, great resignation. But when we think about engagement, we've worked at lots of companies where they have really fun things like beer at 3:00 and 3-story slides and foosball tables and go-karts, and all those are great, but those are just perks. It doesn't engage the employee and make them successful. And when I was just reading a little bit about this, getting ready for our call today, I just love the wording, because it's successful. If we help our employees to be successful in their roles, like you were just saying, they'll be engaged. They'll want to work and to do great work, because we'll have attached meaning to what they're doing. It's really good. Really exciting. Talk with me about what role does gamification play in all of this? I know it's not
It's a great question, because Centrical started as Game Effective, if you remember, right?
Yes.
And Game Effective, the main course was gamification with performance management, right? And Then we started to learn. We worked with the largest corporates in the world, Hilton, Verizon, the largest BPOs, the largest, beverage companies, the
Yeah.
largest banks, and so on. Not, I can mention all of them.
No, I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all
but
right.
but the largest, right?
Yes.
And we learned that we almost made a mistake, or maybe we even made a mistake to put the gamification in the front over to put it as kind of the sizzling or the dressing on the salad, right? Because the main course should be the employee impact and growth, their career, right?
Right.
And once you do that, you put the end result, right? It's not, also for, by the way, my best tip for anyone from learning, don't think of learning, completion, ranks, whatever. Think about money. How do you help your company to make more money, to sell the new products, to adopt the new plans or plays and so on, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Here in the States, we say clutching pearls, which is mean like
Right.
oh my, and that's what I'm like right now. Every L&D person is just clutching pearls, like, oh no, our role is not, and
Only
that
money.
disconnect is so huge.
Only
What do
money.
you mean our role is to help the company make money? That
Right.
there's
And
such
this
a
is so
disparity.
23. It's so 23. If you
Yeah.
want to keep helping your company, and because 23 and maybe even 24 would be very hard years
Yes.
for HR, for L&D, and for everyone. And therefore, companies need to make profits.
Right.
Now, I believe that L&D are key contributors for that. In order to do that, they need to be aligned with the company goals. I can give an example with one of our customers. So they spent hundreds of millions of dollars in R&D and developed new set of products. Okay, like new line of products. And the salespeople kept selling the old line of product. And the question was why, and it was like you don't teach all the new
Right.
tricks, right?
Yeah.
And therefore everyone understood that it's all about the learning, and we helped them to create micro learning and adaptive learning and gamify it, and also connect the performance from Salesforce and meetings to create a full performance experience. And they increased dramatically, first the completion rate of learning the new products, like by 3 or 4 times, and eventually improve the sales by 10%. And this is the goal, right? And this is one example. Another example would be expedite the onboarding process for new hires, or more people finishing the first 90 days, and so on. So this is money, this is cash, right? And this is the focus. Now, to utilize gamification well, like learning, it needs to be connected properly to the business. Now, the first wave of gamification was all about fun, engagement, collecting points, getting badges, and leaderboards. We called it PBL, points, badges, and leaderboards, right? But think of an organization of 1,000 employees, and you created a competition, the top 10, of selling the new product or selling more, or whatever. By the end of the week or the month, you created 990 losers. Okay, and therefore, in a way, you came to motivate, and you actually demotivated people. And gamification is a double-edged sword. So there are 2 ways to address that. The first one is to connect to the business. For example, in sports, and I wrote an article about that. In sports, there are intervals, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to prepare to a marathon, you don't run 42K. right? You're working on short, 10K and then sprints, and then you change things in order to build your stamina, build your speed, build your ability to meet the goals. Same thing in business. So gamification can create these type of intervals. This week would be the week that we will focus on new leads. The next week would be the week that we launch a new product. So we need to learn a week before how to address a new product and so on. So the most important thing about gamification, it needs to serve business opportunity or business challenge, and not just, hey, let's make things happier, fun, or engaging.
Right. Very
And
good.
the second thing, it can't be focused on competition only. It sometimes can bring competition, but most of the people, and it's a big surprise, definitely for people that this is, by the way, GTA from GTA. So I'm a hardcore gamer. I like to kill, and I was in sports most of my life before the professional life, and I like to win, right? And therefore, I went to build a startup and so on. But most of the people, they would like to do fine, do well, finish the day, have another day, have another week, and be fine, be well. And definitely in contact centers, in sales, they want to meet their goals, right? But they don't need to crush others.
Right.
And it's more than 90% of the people. And therefore, when you design a gamification experience, it should be much more similar to casual sports or to casual games over GTA or 100-meter dash in the Olympics, right? Because people will not connect.
Yeah, that's really good. And, we, in our certification process, we have quests. So we
Right,
build this 30-step pirate tales map. But
right,
in the first quest, it's about what's the business objective and why would the CEO, and I always play the person that is why would I care? Why would I care that they learn this? I don't care that they learn that. And I'm not saying that the CEO doesn't care about the employees, but ultimately, if we're not helping with improving customer satisfaction and retention or making money, then we aren't really serving a purpose within the company, because as altruistic as any organization might be, even a not-for-profit, an NGO, they still have to run in the black. They can't run in the red. So how can we help to fulfill those organization objectives? And every single time we have a huge disconnect with most of our learning and development professionals, because
right,
that's not where they normally sit. They're normally sitting just over, I call it our ivory tower over here, where we imagine what the world is like as we design our learning programs, but we're not really functioning in the real world. It's really good, Gal. Is that a hard sell for you, though? I mean, I believe the leadership buys into it. Do the employees, they want to be contributing. They want to have meaningful work.
right.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, and
yeah, go ahead.
with the employees, it's you need to look outside. Usually now you look at TikTok and you look at these type of things, and everything today is about personalization, creating an experience that would be personalized. Because if you're deep, therefore slow, and I'm fast but shallow, right? And someone likes videos and the other one like to read long articles, and I've more experience on that and less experience on that. How come we still receive one size fits all type of learning and experiences, right? It should be on Netflix. My Netflix and your Netflix are totally different, I guess, right? And this is the main thing that AI brings to this experience, the ability today to create if you have 10,000 employees, I would like 10,000 journeys for every individual. And then we can also avoid, AI sometimes could be cold, right? So let's bring also the managers, my direct manager, the frontline manager or supervisor, let's bring them to this play. Let's help them to become better managers and better coaches, which means that the AI will escalate to the manager. Hey, pay attention. I try to train me. This is my imitation of AI, right? I train Jane, right? She participated in a challenge and still, she still derailed and I'm trying to bring it back. Please, I need your escalation. And then the manager comes with a EQ, right? Which is, at least in the next 5-10 years, I hope it would be our advantage over the machines. So with EQ, with creativity, right? And with the strength of the AI will help Jane to perform better, will bring her the best prescription to improve her performance, her learning, maybe her engagement. And this is the beauty. We call it augmented human intelligence, because we augment with AI the human intelligence of the managers. And then we create this, again, flipped pyramid that is stronger because it brings also the people to interact between themselves.
Yeah. One of my books that I use a lot when I do any kind of leadership training, it's written by Jim Clifton of Gallup. And he created that assessment called Strength Finders. And, and his research shows that the number one question when it's answered positively by employees is that my manager cares about me and my success. And that's what gets employees to stay. And when they do their employee engagement surveys, people don't, you're saying people don't leave companies, they leave people. So like my manager didn't care. My manager wasn't, I was learning all this stuff. My manager never backed me up or never connected with me. And yeah, it's just critical in that. It's
sorry, Monica, if I can take what you said, because it's so nice, because during COVID, right, we identify a gap that there are many surveys, right? That you send to employees, how do you feel and what do you need, and so on. And eventually you build this heat map and you see reds and then yellows and then you send to someone to handle this problem. But it's still like the problem of BI, right? It's driving with the rear view mirrors, right? What we actually learned, that if in real time you identify a problem, a challenge, the best way to understand the challenge, for example, you didn't perform well in the last 2 weeks. AI, it's very easy for AI to ask this question. Hey, Monica, what's your expectation for next week? Will you meet your goals? You say, yes, great. You say no, say, what do you need to, in order to meet your goals? Do you have all the learning materials? Maybe you don't have opportunities and so on, right? And then AI can identify that and maybe solve it, right? But some cases, it's not that simple. And then the escalation to the manager is very important. And once you escalate to the manager and say, pay attention, that Monica, in the last 2 weeks, this is what happened. This is what we tried to do. We didn't succeed. She said this and that. Maybe she's unhappy. Confidence level is low and so on. Pay attention. And then, the manager, she comes to you and say, hey, Monica, how are you? Say, interesting. They listen to me, right? And listening to the employee is not just painting a heat map of 10,000 employees. It's your voice. It could be from helping you to improve and learning how to help you to improve your performance, learn, and so on. Sometimes maybe you're brilliant and you crush your numbers, and I will ask you, what's your secret? I will publish it with others and help you build your reputation, right? And this is beautiful because when you listen to the individual, you create something new, and it, for us, it kind of unveil itself during COVID, and when at that point we had like 100,000 users moving to work from home,
Right.
and immediately, things started to crash. And for us, actually, the relationships between the employees and managers improved because they saw each other.
Right. Yeah. And that's what's, when you think about when COVID first, we were like, well, remote work, it just can't work. It just can't work. And
Yeah.
It wasn't the remote work. It was the processes that were already broken that were just magnified then, that it's not the remote work. It's the process. It's the disconnect. Right. Gal, I know that we could talk all day. I could feel that now. Neither you nor I have the schedule to make that happen. And I'm sorry about that, because I realized just from talking with you why I enjoy talking with you so much. So I just flooded all back to me. I want to close out by asking one last question, because you work with these people all the time. If you have a chief learning officer who's looking at what you're doing and they're like wondering, well, this, to put the time and the expense to this, what do you think is the one key thing that a chief learning officer should know about, like the process that you're talking about, including gamification in that? What would be the key takeaway for them that you'd want to make sure they knew?
It's to design an experience. It's not learning anymore. It's not coaching. It's not, onboarding. We learned for 20 years how to design a consumer experience, right? The best in the market. And you mentioned Amazon, right? Netflix, TikTok. It's all about Lululemon, right? They design an experience. And this is our goal, to design an experience which would be personalized, engaging, with purpose, right? With clear goals. It should be evolving, it should be unified. It can't be in like 10 different systems that I'm running after, different systems. So to design an experience that will lead to growth and performance, this is my tip for everyone, by the way, not just CLO.
Everyone, right. Good. Well, that is so great, Gal. Thank you for taking time from your schedule to sit down with us today. This was, again, it reinforces what we know. And it's such an important, I don't want to just use the word message because it seems so trite to just say that, but it really is, like, if we're thinking about a cornerstone of employee engagement and corporate success, this is it. This is that cornerstone.
It's a movement.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So thank you so much. Appreciate you. And I look forward to our paths crossing sometime again soon in real life. That would be delightful.
Yeah, it would be great, Monica.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Gal. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.